On this episode of Star Trek Universe, we have an interdimensional escape room full of parasite-filled lanterns that like to go boom. We're talking Star Trek Strange New Worlds 305, Through the Lens of Time. Right after these words from our mystery sponsors. Oh, also, I want to talk about the Scott Bakula thing.
Oh boy. Come on, no laugh for oh boy.
No. No.
Welcome to Star Trek Universe, the podcast where you can listen in on two lifelong friends sit and chat about Star Trek. My name is Matthew Carroll.
I'm David C. Robertson. All right, so there are a couple of pieces of news I wanted to talk about that, real quick before we get into this episode of Strange New Worlds.
Do it, man.
The
Bakula? You mentioned the Bakula?
Yeah, dude. Like, they did this little STLV Trek to Vegas convention, and Mike Sussman is talking about how he kind of joked apparently at a convention about when Picard was on, we got to do Star Trek Archer, and then realize, holy shit, I've set up background for this show already. Because in the episode, the Enterprise episode, in the Mirror Universe, Through a Mirror Darkly, Part 2, he had the writers come up with a whole bio of what happened to Archer after the show ended, that we see on a screen for a second.
Okay.
And at some point he becomes president of the Federation. So he and Bakula got excited about it and come up with a pitch, and they pitched it to the executives who were very interested, but because one, they were doing Starfleet Academy. And developing that, and two, Paramount was pulling back on streaming expenditures. They said no, not right now. But now they're changing their heads. Everyone is coming back in. David Ellison's come in and said we're going to put more money into streaming. And Scott Bakula, what the fuck is that? Simon Pegg said that David Ellison is a huge Star Trek fan. So, he thinks that the perfect time for, the Kelvinverse number 4 and more Star Trek. Simon Pegg thinks that Star Trek is coming to a new golden age again because David Ellison is a huge fan.
Gotcha. And David Ellison is that the billionaire who purchased or whatever.
Well, it was his family. Yeah, it was and I don't know what to make of the guy. I've seen him, at functions around Trump and shit, but I don't know what to make of the guy. I don't know his true intentions.
It's tough because I am such I am so angry at all the people collaborating with this administration that is absolutely fascist, but I want my Star Trek to be good, and so maybe there's a hope that this guy is, going along to try to get the merger to happen, and then after the merger happens, he's not going to be so bad for the content, maybe.
Yeah, David Ellison's holding up his whiskey glass and going, "Computer, erase that entire message." I don't know.
Exactly, yeah. And who knows? If he's a Star Trek fan, that immediately makes me feel better about him, if that's true, which is, a toxic trait I have, because Star Trek fans can be shitty too.
Yeah.
But I generally have warm regard for most Star Trek fans.
But Simon Pegg kind of sounding optimistic puts me in a certain place as well.
It would be shocking to me if they do another Kelvinverse movie. It just seems like those movies have run their course, and I know they keep talking about it, but it seems like it's had no traction for so long. Now maybe this merger is exactly what it needs to get the traction and see those things happen again. But I just wish they would. My take. We've talked about it a million times. All the prequels. I'm like, okay, that was fun. Let's do something new and different with Star Trek.
Well, that's actually kind of though how I feel about it is they established that the Kelvinverse was a separate universe, so that's a thing.
Yeah, at least it is blazing its own trail and not. It's not beholden to the old canon at all.
I love the idea that it is blazing its trail so ardently because it very clearly is. And, if you've seen Chris Pine lately, dude looks old as fuck.
Right.
Like, let's do like the Dark Knight Returns of Star Trek. Let's like not specifically, but let's like catch up with these guys.
Sure,
like,
yeah.
15, 20 years later.
Right. Well, they'll be closer in age to the movie versions of these characters.
Yeah.
Like, that'll be really interesting. And, the Kelvinverse, we talk a lot about how it's different, and obviously the character places in it is different, and the technology is different because of the Narada. Like, this is going to be these worlds will play out completely differently. And so, that will be interesting to see, because you could kind of jump forward in technological advancement to the point that it almost feels fresh and new, but it could still have itself anchored in older characters. I mean, and you could also even I do not want them to do this. I do not want them to do this at all. I don't know why I'm even speaking into the universe, but you could like continue on with that timeline and do other things like characters from Next Generation or characters from other shows. You could keep doing kind of what happens to the Star Trek universe if the Narada happens, that I don't love that idea.
Well, Ellison was an executive producer on the last 2 Star Trek films.
Okay, cool.
So, I'm very curious to see what they could do. I like that cast a lot. I would absolutely love to see like a jump ahead in time and see what they're doing. I just want it to mean something, but at this point, like, I don't know that universe means anything to me. I'm not sure that's the one that we're talking about now. Supposedly the Prime Universe means as much to me. Like, it just kind of all feels a little multiverse ooey gooey to me.
Yeah, it's tough when you have the multiverse and new universes make things tough, because it immediately removes stakes and whatever. Like, it's, if you do it right, it can be done amazingly well, but it kind of insists that you follow characters that you care about and stick with them, and they're already kind of not doing that and hopping around in with the multiverse. And it's the thing that I find I'm a little incredulous about this ever happening is just the cast, for the most part, has gone on to big things. I mean, a few of them, I think Simon Pegg would be in just because he's a fan, and he seems like every time you hear about it, it's him talking about it. Chris Pine, I think he could be in. I don't know. Carl Urban, I would want him back. He's one of my favorite things about that movie. But he's gone on and done big things since then, and made a name for himself to some degree. Zoe Saldana, obviously Chris Hemsworth. There was that whole thing about them bringing him back. I loved that idea.
The Archer thing is Star Trek United is him as the president of the Federation, and they said one of their aspirations would be that the series would do for Star Trek what Andor did for Star Wars. It would be at a very adult, grounded political show, and I am all about that. I would love to see Scott Bakula return as President Archer. That would be dope as shit to me.
And I immediately want to say, like, that sounds amazing from a, like, how do you establish a democracy? How do you build a federation out of all these member worlds, and how do you make like a organization that's going to function well? And that would be interesting in the light of today's world. We just mentioned the fascism and all, but you mentioned the Andor thing, and I'm immediately like, it would automatically be like too close to Andor.
Maybe
Andor very much did that.
You know what I would hope for? I want West Wing Star Trek. That's what I want.
Yeah. Oh yeah, man. I'm very much into that.
There's been a lot of rumors going around, and they're not substantiated necessarily, but there's been a lot of rumors that they're looking to just go ahead and axe Starfleet Academy. Pretty much right out of the gate. The rumors state that the new executives at Paramount have seen Starfleet Academy the first season or part of it and said, I don't like this. And then it's also very bad that you can go check this for yourself when you go and you put the Starfleet Academy YouTube into one of those like dislike checkers or whatever, because YouTube doesn't show that anymore.
Right.
It has got, like, when I sent it to you, it was like 490,967 views, 7,105 likes, and 32,880 dislikes. That is a crazy amount of dislikes, and I'm absolutely aware that people review bomb shit.
Sure, yeah.
But, I mean, we love Star Trek. We root for it every week. And I don't even mean every week that it's on. We root for it every week of the year. Like, I feel like we're throwing silent prayers to the great bird of the galaxy that it'll be good the next time we see it.
Yeah.
And we weren't very interested in Starfleet Academy.
Yeah.
Like, it didn't look great to us.
I mean, I'm torn. Like, I think the trailer, to me, I just think the idea of going to the Academy feels retrograde somehow. Like, there was a time in my life I was very interested in that idea. Like we mentioned a few weeks ago, I've read some of the books and stuff, but like the idea of going to the place where they learn to do the thing is not as interesting to me as like watching the people do the thing, which I think we'll get into when we get into this episode from this week. So any other news before we do that?
I don't think I have any other news. I just, bring on Star Trek Legacy, bring on Star Trek United with President Jonathan Archer. Dude, like, after Star Trek, my wife has been throwing on, like, because she had to catch up, she's been throwing on Enterprise. Dude, I always forget how fucking good Enterprise is. Like, even in this first season, it's so good.
Yeah. I loved it. Okay, well, let's dive into this Strange New Worlds episode.
Sure.
Through the Lens of Time.
Yeah.
I gotta say, man, I really loved this episode.
Okay. I did too!
I really enjoyed this episode a lot.
Okay, yeah, me too.
I think maybe it's a response to how I've been feeling, and I was really down. I went to watch it, and I was like, man, if this is another bad week where I just feel like, what is the point of this episode? I am going to be in a dark place, and so my expectations were kind of like in the gutter, and I was like, all right, here we go. And then just like it was like a different show than these previous weeks. It really was, and it's just crazy. And a lot of it, I'm realizing, is just like something that annoys me about all canons, not just Star Trek, is when the characters are so over focused on their relationships and their like interpersonal stuff that everything's about that when they have these very important missions going on, and like the last few weeks, I think it felt that way. Them dealing with they still had relationship stuff in this episode, really well done, but it felt so much more like they were on a Starfleet vessel. Like the conversations are about the work. And yeah, one of them might be a little distracted by something, but they're like, get your eyes over here. It's time to do work now. Like, we got to talk about the mission. We got to do, like, it just felt so much more like a Federation ship to me. And like, that's not even something I've complained a lot about, but like, I think I just realized that like, so it's always been something that bothers me in shows when a show is too much about the relationships, when they're fighting, when it's the apocalypse is coming. You gotta fight the apocalypse before you worry about your boyfriend and girlfriend drama. You know what I mean? Like, you gotta deal with the thing in front of you. And this episode did that really well in a way that like I really liked it. I loved it. I loved the tension building and the puzzle nature. It like felt like everything was a little bit figure outable. We talked about it last week with the mystery episode, how like I did not feel like they laid the breadcrumbs for the things, But man, when they were like, how do we walk across this thing? I was like, oh man, Indiana Jones and the Holy Grail right here, baby. You got to step out. out. Like it felt good to know that, because they laid all the groundwork for what that quantum like whatever quantum flux thing would look like. And I just thought it was so cool. It was so cool.
Yeah, I did laugh because the ironic bit there was that like the archaeologist was going, no, don't do it.
Oh yeah, that's funny. That is funny that was an Indiana Jones scene and this was an archaeology episode. That didn't cross my mind.
Absolutely. I did like this archaeology episode. I thought like I was sitting there going like, this is good. I feel like they should do more of this in Star Trek for fuck's sake. I had a lot of fun with this one. The ancient non-corporeal being wreaking havoc is a Star Trek classic, but they did it with a little panache. They did it with some fun quantum trickery, and they did it on the fucking Q homeworld, by the way.
Is that what that was?
That's the Q homeworld.
Oh.
Yeah. Which means that possibly whoever these creatures were, because this is the same planet that Corby mentioned before, and Trelane mentioned like, they were fucking around in the old Q homeworld, or on the old homeworld is what he said. But it was the same planet. Yeah.
I didn't think they'd been to this planet. Okay, that's cool. He was talking about screwing around on that homeworld, but then he was also talking about how he'd discovered that bracelet somewhere else, and this was a different place. So I didn't know it was the same world.
by the
That's so cool.
Yeah.
Oh man, I loved that. The swirling. In this case, they're imprisoned in these little balls and they're swirling. And when Spock looked down and saw thousands of them, it reminded me of the Pa Wraiths too.
Dude, fuck yes. Okay, so did you catch what they called them?
No, not in their language or whatever.
Okay, so both the guy who got vaporized, who was from the macaroon or whatever the fuck it's called,
macaroons, yeah,
and the macaroon. Both him and Battelle, when she's like you, as she sees fucker in the sickbay, like they both refer to them as the Vesda Pa, P-A-H.
Vesda Pa. Oh, now that we got like that is a connection I've never thought about, but the idea that we've got a outside of space and time being. Especially the golly, man, this is connecting the Pa Wraiths to the Q, which could connect the Q to the the wormhole aliens. Like, and now that I'm saying that out loud, I'm thinking about like Picard walking around in that time episode where he jumps into his past self and saves his life, and there's that just like complete, the lighting and everything is the same as when Sisko's walking around with the wormhole aliens. I'm like, oh my gosh, could this be some weird, like, I mean, this is the thing, this is what we Star Trek fans get to do, is like, without having to force it or make a Trelane happen or whatever, and not having John Delancey show up, we get to sit here and speculate about a Q homeworld possibly being connected to the celestial temple. Golly, sorry for those of you who aren't DS9 fans. I realize we're getting a little down the rabbit hole here.
Yeah. So you got this. And by the way, I love that fucking ensign. Whatever his name is. I can't remember his name. Something.
They said it. Gamble.
Dana Gamble. Well, he did take a mighty gamble, didn't he? You're going to pick up a foreign object. First of all. Sorry, I'm going to get off and do a thing right now. Like, I mean, yeah, we've seen it in Star Trek forever. All right? With these ensigns doing some stupid shit. You don't pick up a fucking mysterious object. You don't do that. I mean... First of all, the place was cloaked as fuck. Second, it required a blood sacrifice to enter. That's never a good sign. And then when you walk in, it's like Walmart all of a sudden. You can't call for help. You can't beam out. Like, Jesus Christ. Then there's a pile of dead bodies. Then there's a room where the light won't go. Not don't go, just won't. It's not possible for the light to go there.
Yeah.
Like, that shit was on Skinwalker Ranch, motherfucker. I'm not going. I'm not picking up a damn thing.
Yeah. That was a stupid decision on his part. But man, so yes, we've seen this a million times, an ensign do a thing and die. Yeah. But like, how often has Star Trek spent 4 episodes making us care about that ensign before doing it?
I figured he was either going to be some sort of like Deus Machina sort of plot point, or he was going to die. That's what I figured they were going to do, one or the other. And when the episode started and he was narrating the log, I was like, "Oh, he's dead."
Well, I did not go there with my brain, and I was into it. I love that this episode would have hit a lot less hard if it weren't for the built up a little bit, like, oh, I'm getting to know this ensign, he's cool, like we joked about how they hadn't said his name yet, like last week, and like it is a lot of fun to just like be getting to know this character. Could be just a new character that we're going to be seeing. I thought he might be helping M'Benga like work through his I don't know how old M'Benga's child should have been, right?
Yeah.
And like there was clearly like an affiliation between him and Gamble, and I was wondering if like he was thinking like my child could have been this age or something, like, you know what I mean, like by now, because I don't know how long his child was in that pattern buffer, you know. So it was just really interesting to see that relationship building, and then for them to just kill him and like use that death to taunt him about his daughter, I was like, oh man, whew, this is rough.
And Mbenga has been denying his request to go down to planets for months. Like, he's been there for 6 months now, they said.
Yeah.
Yeah, I loved all of that. That was all great.
Me too. And just creepy as hell, him doing these things, like, for the first time, he's got the mask, the little mask on that's supposed to be regenerating his eyes, and Mbenga walks away, and he like sits up and looks over at Mbenga, and at this point you know he's brain dead, supposedly, according to the tricorder, and so like something other than him is looking over, and that's all you knew at that point. And it's good, man. It's good stuff. Well, we also knew from the very beginning of the episode that it was a mind transfer, was what they were talking about. That's how they achieve immortality, is transferring their minds. So I was as soon as he got hit, I didn't know he'd be dead, but I thought he would be somehow taken over.
Yeah, I kind of suspected that's where they were going, because one, that's what Gamble was talking about, Corby's papers and shit, ancient non-corporeal being.
Yeah.
Sort of, sorry, I read the wrong line. Let's see, molecular memory and corporeal transference.
Right, yeah.
And the idea that ancient man's fascination with resurrection and reincarnation could all be based on forgotten technology. Now, I when he got his eyes blown out, I kind of went, I'm not sure that's him anymore. Because I kind of thought it was going to be a Freaky Friday situation, probably because that fucking Freakier Friday keeps showing trailers on every streaming service I have. But also that, and the TOS episode Corby shows up on is What Are Little Girls Made Of, where they go to they find this planet where there was an ancient race who had created these androids and had figured out how to basically be immortal by transferring their consciousness into these androids. So that's like a Corby thing. That's an obsession of Corby's.
Yeah. Oh man, what a great way of using all these characters. I think every character was used well. Even like for a second, I was like, man, why did they put Uhura and her new boyfriend in this episode? I was kind of like, what are they doing here on this mission? You know what I mean? She made sense because she was doing all the translating, and I liked that. But him being there, it was just kind of like an add-on. But then they used even him in like the plot to like his camera to see that they were all three in the same place. It was cool, man. It's just cool. Like lots of cool stuff to figure out. It just made me feel like they were on this archaeological dig. They were curious Starfleet officers excited to do that work. And Gamble's entire plot at the beginning, where he's talking about how badly he wants to go down to a planet, how badly he's how excited he is for this particular mission, and that transference of consciousness and all that stuff, immortality and this lost technology, and he is fascinated by that. It gave me such warm feelings for him. And I was so like his little voiceovers at the beginning. I was just like, man, I love this kid. He's great, and he is exactly like what we've been missing, kind of, from this show, because it's not been about being cool Starfleet officers. It's been about other stuff that I don't hate, but it's like not. It always just makes me feel like, why are we focusing on this when there are big stakes happening?
I didn't mind it when we had 26 episodes a season, 24 episodes, whatever it is, like back in the old days. You need those episodes when you have so many.
Right. And you might even need one when you got 10, but like you don't need a bunch. Yeah.
It's tough with 10. But yeah, and I loved it. He said, ancient astronauts? Like, yeah, man, there was Chinese on that panel, bitch. The Q came to Earth as ancient aliens.
Yep, pretty great. You know what? I loved this episode. Palia. Maybe my favorite Palia episode. I loved her. I loved her, like, wanting to be on the camera. And that last speech totally fell for it. I was actually getting annoyed at her for being so, because the captain says this very rational thing. There is no good, there is no evil. It's just these differences of people and time and who they are, and it's a very scientific man's way of thinking. And then Palia says this long thing about how, like, oh, there's evil, Captain. there's evil in this universe. I know, I've seen the face of evil. And like this long dramatic thing. And I was like, oh my gosh, this is so over dramatic and I kind of hate it. And then when she's like, do you need another one for the camera? I was like, oh, that's beautiful. That was just her trying to say a dramatic thing. It's beautiful. It was awesome. I laughed so hard. Oh, no, I totally think that. I'm not saying she might not think those things, like, in some way, but, like, she was hamming it up. I was watching her ham it up and going,
she was hamming it up.
She was hamming it up, and I was like, oh, why? I hate this speech. It's so hammy. And then it's because she was hamming it up for the cameras. And I think that's hilarious.
Yeah. So I think she also believes that, though.
Maybe. I think she was saying a thing to get on camera, and that's been her motivation the whole episode. But they led me down that speech so well that I forgot that was her motivation this episode, and like then it hit me with it, and I laughed hard. And I like one of the best jokes of this season. Like I laughed so hard at that.
When she said the bit where she's like, "It gives me the heebie-jeebies."
Yeah.
That dude was not on the ship with the camera. She was just saying that shit for real. She believed it.
Oh, no. I'm not saying she doesn't have beliefs like that. I'm just saying the way she interrupts the captain and how overdramatic the speech is. Her saying gives me the heebie-jeebies is much more in line with her character and the general tone of the show.
Yeah.
The speech was a complete outlier and felt weird, and I was like, I do not like this speech. And then they hit us with it because it's her being that way for the cameras. And I think it's a great joke. It's a fucking great joke. I laughed really hard.
Yeah, I didn't care for it.
I loved it.
Yeah, I was like, oh, she's a little over the top, but Palia is that way, and I just dislike her. And my God, can we get a second take where she doesn't say corporal instead of corporeal, because those are different things. And and then like to undercut it with that joke was annoying to me. But at the same time, like, I mean, that's fine.
I think that's the whole thing. It was a rug pull. It was a beautiful rug pull. And I hear you. I'm sorry you didn't enjoy it, but I fucking loved it.
Yeah. I mean, I like there being something about it. And there was something about these creatures that, they're completely fucking evil. Like, there's just no two ways about it. Like, at least from the vantage point of this episode.
Right. From what we saw. And also, though, I love the lore this all builds out. We got this weird thing the Gorn somehow know about and, like, have a weird fear of. And I loved how this just is my favorite kind of stuff, man. When Spock had that previous episode had interface with the Gorn, and we know that, like, sometimes the mind melds leave a bit of that in the brain, that they're stuck in there, and like he sees that Gorn like flash in his brain. I knew in that moment, oh man, when one of these encounters Captain Batel, it's gonna get crazy. It's going to reveal something cool, and it did. And they had this awesome fight where, like, neither of them are themselves. They're fighting. It was very much like the freaking fire caves, man. Where, like,
that
Cisco,
is what it felt like.
Yeah, it really did, and like I love it so much.
And I'm like, did like the ancient Q accidentally bring something into our universe while they were fucking around with extra dimensional technology? And did they create the Gorn to fight it?
Oh, that's interesting. That's really interesting. Like the Gorn are a genetically engineered species to like take down whatever this species is.
Like it's built into their DNA. I mean, like this baby Gorn in fucking Patel sees this dude and goes, "You."
Yeah.
What are we doing here?
Well, and it's also more information about the Gorn. Like, even if it isn't engineered into them, we now know that they pass. Like, and this is kind of a thing. Like, they pass. Like through their genetics, they're somehow passing like this knowledge of an enemy. You know what I mean? And we know that they already have like things like the flashing lights or whatever bring them back to their home world. They already have this sort of genetic knowledge thing going. But like somehow, that's interesting. That's really cool and interesting.
And they have telepathy,
right?
So just be like reading shit, or like the Pa Wraith do, or who? Sorry, what were they called again? Vestapa?
The Vestapa.
Yeah. It's cool. I am like, did we have a place? Do you remember? And I guess I would be the person that should be asked this, but I don't remember. Was it ever said? Like, I know it was said in TNG that Geordi specifically didn't want implants in his eyes.
Yeah.
But if Mbenga is bioengineering, what's this dude? New eyes. Why couldn't Geordi have new eyes? You know.
Well, Geordi embraced his blindness once he learned to use the visor. He talks about how his vision is actually much more enhanced and more useful than like anyone else's eyes. Like he can see multiple spectrums and all this stuff with his visor. And I think it's I'm forgetting. I think it's in Generations, right? Where is it Soren who's talking about how he chose to have that? I don't know. There's some scene where like someone tells him like, you can get your eyes fixed, like that could happen, and he's like, no, I chose this. I want to be able to do this.
You're right. Yeah. I just wanted that assurance. I just wanted that.
Yeah. It's good. It's like, it's nice because it fits into canon. Like it's, but I definitely thought that. I mean, let's face it. It's also a guy they put like a visor he can't see through on his eyes. It's also a young black man. They put a visor over his eyes, and I was like, are they going to give him a Geordi visor? Like, how cool would that be?
I thought about that too. I was like, it's got to be hooked up to a computer with like through a cord though.
Yeah, like next episode, he's gonna be walking around with like a Geordi visor on.
Yeah, but he's not because he's dead.
Yeah, he's dead now. Man, it's a really bummer. I liked him a lot in this episode, and I really, it really made me just excited for Starfleet. Like this is the stuff I've been missing, and I think that just genuine excitement is something that I didn't even know I was missing. And it really is like a thing. I mean, like Corby's excited, like really excited to be there. Like these, I feel like most of the main cast, Spock, Chapel, Uhura, they all kind of have their own things going on. Like, Uhura gets distracted because she's flirting and she's not sticking with her job. But like, this ensign just gave me this like excitement for just doing his job that I realized, like thinking back on Star Trek, Data, Geordi, Riker, like all these guys were always excited to do their job. You know what I mean? Like it was a thing. It was not like, hey, we better stop talking about our relationships and go hop on our jobs now. And I know this is like kind of an old criticism, but like seeing it's not one that I've had, because I think that like relationships and the storytelling is incredibly important. So I am always reticent to be like, I don't need all this relationship stuff. But like, I think I don't mind the relationship stuff. I just need them to be excited to be Starfleet officers, you know?
I want to see briefly Riker somewhat jealous that Troy is talking to another guy at the beginning or midway through the episode, and then not address it again for another 3 seasons.
Yeah. You know what this gave me? The same feeling. His excitement for the exploration of this planet gave me the same, on a lesser degree, because this episode was amazing. I believe it was the first episode or second episode of season 3 of Discovery, when they gave us that really great, I think it was like a prologue to an episode, and we just see like a guy, we meet a guy who's been waiting for the Federation to return for like 200 years. Like he's been manning an outpost, and he's manning an outpost that his father manned and his father manned, and they've just been like, sorry, I'm getting emotional. It's weird. I know it's not weird. It's me, but like whatever. It comes from places that I never expect it. But he's standing there, and he's keeping the light on of the Federation in this corner of the galaxy all by himself. And I loved it. And then they never went back to that character, I believe. And I was so disappointed because that gave me such affiliation and love for that character. And then he never showed up again, and I was like, "That is a waste." They did such work to make me love him, and then I think he may mention him, or he gets a posting or something. But we know he's not like I think he was a new regular cast member. They spent such when you have made the audience love a character so much, like that is the character you use. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I didn't think I didn't think I needed him after that. Like he kept the light on. He was the torchbearer. He kept it on, and he was rewarded. And he moved on. Like he got to see the rekindling.
Well, yeah, but I think that my point is not that I just think that's a character once you've built him and you spend like 10 minutes on an episode building that character so perfectly and it like resonates so strongly that like you have an emotional core connected to that character. I always talk about with the MCU, and it goes with Star Trek too. It goes with all these universes. One of the reasons they're so cool is when Captain America walks on this scene, and you've been dealing with Iron Man all movie or whatever, and then Captain America walks in the room. He comes into the room with all of the affiliation and baggage and like all of his own complex story that you have, the feelings you have for him, walk into the room with him. And it's like, he can be an emotional punch, or he can be a like expositional punch, or he can be a physical punch, like whatever he needs to be. And preferably all three, and like he walks into the room and you're like, oh, Captain America's here. That means all these things, and like, that's what I felt about that character. Like I felt such strength for him as just like, he's the light bearer for this Federation. Like bring him in other key moments, or like have him become part of the crew and have him inspire the crew. Cause he's like, I missed that. And they've done it again. They brought another character and they made me like, oh man, this guy's love for the Federation, the exploration, the interest, the science. Like he's feeling like Data and Geordi and Riker, he's feeling like they cared about their jobs, and then he's dead, and I'm a little disappointed in that, and I just hope that someone over at Star Trek is feeling like I'm feeling and goes, oh, maybe that's one of the components we're missing, is just like, make these guys care. Not that they don't care about their jobs, they do, but it's like, it's never the focus on these episodes. It's rarely the focus.
I like the build up to him dying. I knew he was going to die. At least in this episode, and I suspected before, but I'm good with it. Like,
oh, I am too.
Much more so than just seeing some random person we've never seen before bite the dust because, whoops, we got an incident on an alien world.
I'm 100% with you there. I'm not saying he shouldn't have died.
Yeah.
I thought that really added an emotional impact to everything he did this episode.
But, the guy you're talking about from Discovery, I'm like, no, he served his purpose. I don't want to see where it goes. I don't want to, like if it was a CW show, he would have hung around for a fucking season and a half or 2 seasons and been the guy who gives the speech in every fucking episode, reminding people what they're doing and need I remind you, I spent my entire life waiting for this.
I hear you. There's obviously a bad way of doing it, and that's what you're straw manning the point of. So you're saying like,
oh no, I'm not trying to straw man it. I'm just saying like I don't know where they would have gone. Is all I'm saying.
Yeah, I hear you. You do anything you do with any character. You give him arcs, you give him things to do. But like, I hear what you're saying. Obviously, there's a terrible way to go with it, where you're like, exactly what you're saying would be terrible. But like. Yeah. Just having him be someone, and every time he comes on screen, even if he's not doing that at all, especially if he's not doing that, if he's just doing his job, if he's just like doing normal things, but still when you see him, you're like, that guy loves this shit. He's doing shit and he's excited about it. And every once in a while you just see that glint in his eye and you're like, oh, he's loving being around other Federation people and like feeling this thing he's been longing for,
Yeah. Well, so that guy in Discovery, was he there just all alone for his entire life after his parents passed away?
They didn't exactly explain it. I'm assuming maybe he had maybe this was where he went for work every day. Maybe he had quarters. Maybe he had, I don't know. It seemed like he was alone in this thing. And maybe maybe he rotated in and out with someone else. We really don't know.
Like, I was just like, if you had Admiral Vance or something, like, well, now that, God, you kept the light on and everybody was just... We found you. What the hell are you going to do now, man? You've been all alone all these years. Mm-hmm. And he's like, I don't know. I was thinking about vagina.
Oh, gosh.
I'm not even, picky. I'm so alone. Anything will do. Like, I just want a warm body. I've never been touched. I can't.
Yeah, I feel like reducing it to vagina feels, it's funny, but it feels a little, lots of things you get from human connection.
Yeah.
It isn't vagina.
That was like, the 12-year-old in him coming out and being like, I heard rumors of these things.
Yeah, it sounds like a pirate. It's not
Mythical
a pirate,
creatures.
Dave.
He's a lighthouse keeper, man, Yarg.
An unseemly sort, those lighthouse keepers.
The space sirens, they sing to me myths of the great vagina.
Oh, Lord. All right. Speaking of...
y'all know I'm a weirdo.
Speaking of, Spock had a line that I thought was really funny. He's asked about La'an, and he says, she is an excellent dance instructor.
Uh-huh.
Yeah, good euphemism there, Spock.
Yeah. Dude, I was kind of annoyed with Chapel at the beginning when she was talking to La'an, and La'an is like, we're keeping it casual, we're just having fun, and she's like, and you're okay with that? Like,
yeah, I was too.
Stop me trying to drag your drama into their relationship. And La'an was like, we grown.
Yeah, yeah. I agree. I was like, you're in future. I don't know. It's the distant future. You're space travelers. Like, it just seems like you'd be used to the idea of that casual relationships can exist.
And maybe I need to go back and rewatch, but like, it's kind of feeling like Chapel is acting like Spock didn't want to be with her, like, seriously, when it seems to me like Spock has been nothing but all about Chapel.
Oh, no. I didn't get that at all. I got that she was just asking her as if, like, because I think that Chapel wouldn't have been okay with that. Like, that sort of, that sort of thing, that sort of casual thing. And she's assuming La'an would neither, which is just sort of like, honestly, it's kind of a sexist trope that, like, well, obviously the man wants the casual sex, but are you okay with that? It's like,
right.
Yeah, it's just sort of a sexist trope in my opinion. And so she there's a way she could have asked it that the tone would have been better, where she's like, oh, okay. Well, and you're cool with that? All right, then. Yeah,
there was a weird tone thing. And then it was like coupled with that bit at the end where Spock was like, you can't trust me on certain issues or whatever. And I was like, well, that was weird. Like, what even happened between them? Like, in last season? Like, that they were like, was it just that she was going away? And I can't remember exactly what it was that, like,
to be honest,
ruined their relationship.
I don't know either. And I don't think it so much ruined it. I think that she just decided she wasn't sure she wanted to be in it. And she told him, like, we need time away from each other. And basically broke it off and said, like, maybe we'll, and she said, don't wait on me. Like, and I'm not waiting on you. And then she went off and met Roger Corby. I think the thing is, though, I think she just has a lot of unresolved feelings for Spock still. Yeah. And he has unresolved feelings for her.
Yeah. I mean, I might be, if I were her, I might be a little, thrown off by freaking Roger Corby as portrayed by Colin Farrell, my damn self. Because Jesus.
Yeah.
I wouldn't say I'm bi or gay or anything, but even I'm like, this is a handsome dude.
He's a handsome dude. He is indeed.
I mean, now, Roger Corby in the original series, he was like a fucking nerd. Like, he seemed like a creep or something. He seems like the kind of dude who would go down to a planet and fuck a bunch of androids. You know what I'm saying? But like here, he's just like,
seem like that was the thing he would do.
Oh, I found this fucking ring. I found this ring on this other planet. And I'm like, that ring is going into something to unlock a thing in this episode.
Oh, I thought you meant it's going into something like sexually is the way, because you were talking about.
He might have, but... No, I just wanted to loop in and be like, as soon as he pulled that thing out, I was like, oh, that's got to go into some kind of slot and unlock a door or something.
Yeah.
That's absolutely. And then they're like showing the tablet the whole time, and I'm like, the fucking ring goes right there. I'm looking at the fucking thing where the ring goes. Please put the ring in the thing.
I liked it. I liked it all.
Yeah.
Let's see. And they're called, when they talk about the blood sacrifice, they said sacrifice to stand before the deities of time, which, again, talking about like time and all this stuff and like the way this thing exists in all these different dimensions it's creating for them with like different cause and effect problems. It really just reminds me so much of the wormhole aliens, and like I always assumed the Pa-Wraith were I always assumed they were the same race or the same species as the wormhole aliens. I may be wrong.
As the prophets? Yeah.
Yeah, they were? Okay.
I mean, I assumed. They might not be. They might just be from the same plane of existence. But it should be noted that in the books, which these Strange New Worlds producers are really into like making canon, the Q did have to fight the Pa-Wraith at some point. The Pa-Wraith were a nuisance to the Q at a certain time.
Okay, well that explains a lot. If that's the case, then they're bringing that into this canon.
Yeah.
Like that's real cool, man.
Yeah.
And this, I immediately thought of Pa-Wraith when he looked down there. It looked so much like that swirling cave. That's so much fun. Golly.
And I'm like, dude, the fucking ancient Q were running around with Pokeballs. Got to catch them all.
Yeah, they were. They were apparently. And does that mean that we also had this alien that's like stuck in suspended animation of sorts, like out of quantum phase, and it looked completely different. It didn't. I mean, I guess Q might look like anything. If what were the blue aliens called in this episode? It sounded like a cookie. I remember I made a cookie joke.
Macaroons or macaroon.
Macaroon, yeah, the macaroon.
I didn't write it down.
This is a real like Seinfeld situation. It sounded like a cookie. It sounded like a woman's body part.
The Mulvas.
No, the macaroons, like they're these like blue aliens, and I assumed that like that thing, it was kind of similar. It was blue. I just assumed that was one of their ancestors. But now that we're like connecting it to all this Q stuff, now I'm wondering if like, yeah, if these guys, if the macaroons are somehow related to the Q in that way or whatever.
I don't know. I think I thought they were like a more recent species who were like, we had heard about these things, and like our ancestors talked about this, like, you know, the time deities and shit. Like, I assumed that they were like a subset or a species or subspecies who evolved much later enough that like the Q would have been like a time deities and would seem like gods to them.
Right.
In their ancient times, but that motherfucker saw that statue or whatever, or not statue,
and
but
said
the
evil,
whatever, that blue thing. That was both living and not alive, and went, oh shit, and had to get out of there.
Yeah. He said evil. He said,
yeah.
She said, I loved that. Uhura being like, he says danger. No, not danger. Evil. Like I thought this episode was so well written and so, I don't know, lots of cool lines, lots of that still felt earned and within the world, you know. It was just great. I really love this episode. The other thing I was going to mention is I talked about the excitement of the young ensign to do this and how much that meant to me and getting me into this episode, but also the reticence of M'Benga to send him into the field and the responsibility M'Benga felt. I know that's themes that the show has dealt with some before, but it just doesn't. I feel like that's an ever-present thing on Star Trek that I haven't felt lately. Even if you always feel the weight of a decision when the captain's like, I'm putting the ship at risk. It's so much more generalized. But the idea of being like, okay, it's my job to decide if this guy who's been here 6 months is ready for this mission or not. And like, I have my personal feelings towards him. I have like my assessment is getting clouded by my personal feelings. Like, and did I make a mistake or is this just kind of like as a, Pike comes around and says like, you know, it happens. We can't save them all, you know?
And Big is like, I feel like I should have told him not to pick up a thing. if you don't know what the fuck it is, don't pick it up.
Yeah. Well, they even said like, don't touch anything. And, Corby was like, that's kind of my whole thing. It's like going and digging and touching things.
Yeah.
And she's like, you know what I mean? And like, clearly Ensign Gamble did not know what she meant.
Dude, that bugged me though. Like, and maybe that's the point, but like, I don't like how Spock backed down because he was clearly in charge no matter how much Corby and Chapel wanted him not to be. And like, I guess you can use bad human decisions from Spock here as like a fun headcanon to why Nimoy's Spock is, at the beginning of the original series, so fucking Vulcan and so detached in the original. Like, he was just like, I don't care about your emotions. We are doing this. I am in charge, you know? Mm-hmm. And we hinted at him going way more that way in the Strange New Worlds Balance of Terror episode, where he was just like, damn, he ain't acting like this Spock at all. He's acting like Nimoy's Spock.
Right.
So, I mean, that's part of the fun of a prequel is if we get to see like a ton of stuff that like makes you feel like they're not doing the character right. And then we see what made the character go that way.
Yeah.
If it's done well, it's so good.
I agree. I love that kind of stuff.
But I was like, oh, come on, Corby, dude. Like, they're dead bodies, man.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
This is all bad news. Every part of this is bad news.
Yeah, man. I just liked it. I liked it a lot. I liked all of it.
I did too. I had a lot of fun with it. Question for you. Mm-hmm. Do you think that this means the Q are the progenitors?
Why would it?
Well, because of all the different languages on that panel, because they had what looked like a more primitive version of the place Michael Burnham visited.
That's a fair point. It was similar to that, yeah.
We're talking about different worlds, like between different galaxies.
Yeah,
they were finding stuff.
That was interesting that they travel between galaxies, not just between. We've seen on Discovery the first time they like went outside and met aliens outside the galaxy. Mm-hmm. So that is interesting. I don't know.
They don't have to be the Pa Wraith. These could be like an offshoot of the Pa Wraith, or the Pa Wraith could be an offshoot of this species that they found. They've got some Chinese. They could have some Bajoran in there as well.
Yeah.
And they could be like a separate god species that have reached. I mean, the Organians reached that level as well. So.
Right. Yeah. So I don't think it necessarily means that, but it like makes it possible, I guess. Which I guess it always could have been possible, but it just also means that the Q traveled the galaxy and visited Earth and visited other places in ancient times, which is really fun and interesting.
Yeah, I feel like there's definitely something going on with the Chinese language. And it's also one of those things. First of all, we're not done with this story. We saw the computers acting up, so of course this evil entity.
That's right. I forgot about that.
Yeah, the evil entity is in the transporter buffer, and it's messing with the Enterprise's computers. By the way, I love that was Scotty's solution, is throw him in a transporter buffer, given that's where Scotty ends up for like 80 years.
Yeah, that's also his solution. I thought it was very Scotty. The whole thing was very Scotty. Like him jumping in, I really liked him catching it, doing his Pokemon thing, and then just throwing it up and transportering it. It was just very Scotty decision.
I would have been shocked if you had told me, by the way, in 2025, you're going to watch Scotty capture what might be a Pa Wraith into a Pokeball and throw it into what might be a Ghostbuster trap.
Man, it's going to be terrible when the city finds out and the inspector comes in and shuts down their whole pattern buffer.
That's right. EP Inspector Walter Peck, a.k.a. Dickless.
All right. Sorry, you go ahead.
I was just going to say we have some feedback if you'd like to talk about it.
Yeah. Let's hear it.
Okay. What were you about to say?
I was about to ask if we had any feedback.
Okay. Well, I just want to make sure, man.
I was just moving us toward wrapping because it seemed like we were getting toward the end. And
we are.
Yeah.
It does feel that way.
Yeah.
Andre Sparks.
Andre
says to us, hey guys, so first question. Was that supposed to be the Borg? Mind blown emoji. No, I don't think it was, Andre. It was what we just said we thought it was.
I think Q because of the planet connection, possibly Pa Wraith because of the similar word and similar shape of the swirling golden things, golden red things that just, and it's some sort of species that over in this local area of the of the alpha and beta quadrants. I don't know which quadrant they're in right now, but somewhere around Earth, the Gorn exist, and also this race existed sometime in ancient times. We know that the Borg were born in like the Delta quadrant, so this is unlikely to be the Borg.
Look, today, I had a weird, because I didn't watch this episode until today. And I woke up and like popped over onto some social media and was looking around, and all these people were going, "Oh my God, the Borg!" And I was like, "Ah, fuck, what?" I was geared to hate the shit out of this episode because I was like, I don't want to do fucking Borg. So a lot of people thought the Borg, Andre. A whole lot of people thought the Borg.
That's interesting, and not to insult Andre at all, but I don't understand why the Borg. I mean, like,
I don't know.
Like, they don't ascend; they like merge with technology. That's a different like thing, right? Like these guys somehow figured out how to ascend into, some sort of ethereal plane of existence, which is just a different thing altogether than the Borg, who merge with technology and sort of stay grounded into the corporeal world or the corporal world.
No, but Andre does say, to his credit, he says, "I don't know how would they have been able to read people's minds." Absolutely, man. And I don't know. I like you said, Matt. I don't know how people were getting the Borg out of it. Maybe because it looked like there were some like square columns in the background that kept shifting and moving. I don't know. Adapting, maybe. Or maybe thinking that like the portals through the dimension were in some way like the
slipstream technology,
the slipstream stargates, whatever the Borg is.
Like, I can understand it's a big creepy cube-like structure. It's not cube-like exactly, but I get the feeling there's a lot of geometry happening in the background. Like, I could see why they would think that, but I could see why they would feel the vibe of a Borg cube in that place, I guess, is the only connection I can draw. But other than that, no, there's no Borgness. Wrong quadrant. Yeah.
Did you get the feeling, well, I mean, the Borg have been kind of around. I mean, they were one of the first real big iterations of universe altering time travel. Because of First Contact, they found a Borg cube in Enterprise, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera.
Sure.
So, but yeah, what did you think they were in a laboratory or a prison for the Vextapa or whatever? Or did you think that it was like a laboratory turned prison? Like they abandoned the shit? Like, what do you think where were they?
That's a good question. I think prison is what we're supposed to land on.
Okay.
I don't know why they ever thought laboratory. I guess because they were talking about this being a place of of being able to transfer consciousness, or like this is what they were looking for, that technology. And I mean, maybe both. Maybe this place contained both of those things. But like, to me, that was the thing that sort of the episode settles on, is like, we're in this place. What is it for? What is it for? Oh, it's a prison, and we've let one of the prisoners out. Like, I think that was the implication, I think, of the episode. But
I got the feeling that it was a laboratory, and then they accidentally let those pieces of shit into our dimension.
It's possible.
And then had to abandon it.
Yeah, or had to trap them all. Like,
yeah,
whatever. But also, I don't buy that, because at least they didn't stay here because the Gorn exist, and the Gorn had to face them. So I think whatever these are, they were out in the galaxy causing damage. So maybe they let them through, and then
the cube may have created the Gorn to fight them.
Right, and then they had to. So you're saying this is a laboratory. They let something in. It escaped into our reality, went all over the known galaxy. They went out, caught them all in Pokeballs, then stored them back at this prison.
Possibly. That would be my guess as to what happened, because
I don't know why laboratory makes any sense. Like, why would you call it a laboratory? They were calling it a laboratory early in the episode, and I was like, why are you calling this a laboratory? Like, I know you think it has some connection to the technology to transfer consciousnesses that they talked about at the beginning of the episode, but like, other than that,
that's why I asked the question in the first place, because I'm kind of like, what did we have there that solidified it as a laboratory. I mean,
I don't think anything. I think they were saying that because they were going to find this technology, so they were like, this must be the place where this technology exists. So their brains are going to laboratory. But like, think about like, you go to an airport because planes are there. That's not where they build the planes. You know what I mean? It's not like you go. It didn't make sense to me at any point. Like I never got the lab theory. Like when they were talking about it. And so when they said prison, I was like, oh, that makes sense.
Like I said, the only way that works for me is if it was a laboratory where they were messing around with interdimensional travel and accidentally let this shit into our reality. And they said, once they figured out how to contain it.
Sure. I think that's a fun...
Turn it into a prison.
That's a fun headcanon. It's just there's nothing in the episode to support it necessarily. That there's not like gateways to other dimensions here. There's just like this weird sort of tesseract of a system of like. I think the whole place is built to be a puzzle prison, and so it's built so that these Paraiths can't escape. So like even if they do escape, they're not aligned with the. With whatever they need to be aligned with to get out of the room. They're quantumly. What do they call them? Quantumly fluxed out of existence and shit like that. So I think that's the whole point of this.
If the Paul could just learn Alamoraine, 1, 2, 3.
That's right. That's all they got to do.
They would be able to leave. They would just.
That's all you got to do. That would have been so good if they had to do Alamoraine to get out to.
No, I would have been mad.
I would have loved it. I was like, so much.
This episode possibly makes the universe so small already.
Yep.
And I'm here for it. I'm a fan. Service me. But at the same time, I'm like, motherfucker, do not bring Alamoraine into this.
We'd be sitting here like, what does that mean? The Q is now connected to the Alamoraine puzzle? Like, what is that?
The Q are the source of all humor in the universe. It's just all like just prankster shit. They created the prank.
Yeah.
They ascended to a non-corporeal status just so they could fuck with corporeal beings and play pranks on them.
You got to.
Anyway, Andre continues, I should have known the new ensign would bite the dust. Lastly, does Starfleet ever go back to that planet, or do you think the pattern buffer will be infected? Well, I mean, we saw the computers were infected. The Enterprise is infected to the end of the episode.
Yeah, computers were glitching, so something's going on.
And they did say that they sanctioned off that planet. Like, they are like, it's under active, investigation and shit, and they're like locking it down.
And they also talking about joining the Federation, so.
No.
I'm assuming they'll do some more exploration, but like it does seem dangerous to be in that particular place. Maybe explore other parts of the planet. Maybe not the PA prison.
Yeah. It's like, no wonder they had it cloaked. It wasn't just cloaked, it was like in a different dimension, I think.
Yeah, they had to use the like ship's deflectors to open up whatever that was. I wasn't even sure what was going on there. I was like, what is happening here? Did they just destroy those rocks with the ship's deflectors, or did they like bring down a hologram? Like they never really explained.
No, I think they were opening another, or like phasing another dimension or something.
Right.
I'm not smart. I don't know. But Andre says, thanks for spreading the Trek knowledge. And you are very welcome, Andre. And thank you for writing in and for always supporting both this cast and DC on Screen.
Yeah.
And all the Stranded Panda stuff that you do.
Yeah, bud. Thank you, Andre. And I'm glad he brought up the Borg thing because I just hadn't heard that. And that is really interesting. And I don't know. This is what I'm a sucker for. Like an episode that works completely self-contained. I don't need a Paraith or Q or any of that. I didn't even know the Q connection until we talked. But I just love this episode. And then, and by the way, you can kind of draw these connections and we can talk about it. And, some people can think it's the Borg and some people can think it's the Q and some people can think it's the Paraith and you just bounce around and argue about it. But if you don't know any of that, it's just a cool archaeology evil spirit episode. Yeah.
So you sign on to Twitter or something. Well, I don't go into Twitter anymore, but you sign on to Threads and you see somebody going, holy shit, I can't believe adolescent Vreenak was over in that cuck chair masturbating. Where was that in the episode?
All right.
He wasn't. It was a fake.
I really think you're onto something with the Gorn being created to fight these creatures. because the season began with the Gorn War and how it's going and all this stuff, and I'm wondering if like they're gonna need the Gorn, you know what I mean? Like by the end of the season, and that would be a really interesting arc to be like, all right, Gorn, we know why you exist, and now we need to ally with you to take this thing down.
Yeah, man, and it's got to be. They made too much of a big deal about the Gorn being activated after certain lighting or solar patterns or whatever. Like all of that will probably like come into play in the season somewhere.
Yeah, right. Like they're gonna do the same thing they did here, but to wake them up when Serenity, the movie Serenity. Not to spoil it, but that's like the big thing is like you got the bad guys, then you got the really weird, like almost monstrous bad guys, and what do you do is you throw the monsters at the bad guys. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. So I can totally see this like paw creature, whatever they are, Vestapa, as we said, something like that. They're coming for the Federation, and they fly in and cause that binary star to do whatever they need it to do, and then you see the Gorn like closing in on the whatever the paw creature is.
Yeah, the way you say it, it sounds like something you say when you eat a really good noodle. Like Vestapa.
Indeed.
Just like a mama used to make. We got Stu Little over here, titled, "You'll Need More Than Lens for That Eye Problem." You bastard.
Oh, man.
I don't think it's going to get better than that. We could just skip the rest of the email. No. Stu Little says, "Hello. Junior medical officer's log. Yeah, but what's his name? Say it. Fucking say it. Also, what?" Stu. Also, what's the deal with medical staff titles? There's doctors, nurses, and ensigns? Seems confusing. It does, but you know, the ranking system on Star Trek has always been inconsistent and confusing as fuck.
Well, I think you can be, in the military now, you can be a doctor, nurse, like that's your job, but your rank is your rank. Like your job versus your rank. You can be a doctor, you can have the training to be a doctor, but you can be like a captain or a commander or whatever, you're still a doctor.
Right.
But you can be, just two different things.
Yeah. Instant Gamble, finally. Jesus. Shitty documentarian letting the cameraman appear in the shot. All right. Why would that entrance work with human blood? Kind of disrespectful to the local alien not to ask if they want to do it. It's just got to be some blood. It doesn't have to be theirs.
Also, I don't know that that's more respectful to be like, will you sacrifice yourself? They didn't really know what it was going to do. Like, it was kind of a rough thing for Chapel to just walk up there and be like, yeah, take my blood. Like, I don't know.
She stuck her finger up there, but like
Corby was about to like cut his hand, which like, right. And then she was like, "Don't do anything rash. I'm gonna stick my hand in the alien device."
Yeah, and she was just like trying to get Corby not to slash his fucking palm open.
He's all about that shit. That's some Indiana Jones all day. Like Corby's like, yeah, let me cut my hand and like bleed on my archaeology.
Yeah. This episode just reminds me of my recent realization that Christina Chong would have made a good Lara Croft. Yeah, if you wanted her career to fail, sure. Tomb Raider movies don't do that well.
Yeah.
They keep trying to reboot it. But yeah, she would have done all right. For real.
Yeah, no, I think so.
I gotta believe somewhere out there, there's the perfect combination of creatives to make a Lara Croft movie work. Anyway, Spock's right, says Stu. There's nothing time critical about all of this. They should be more careful. Someone better die from this. Yeah, man. there ain't a damn reason. They couldn't, like, Corby's like, oh, no, we can't do that. I'm in charge here. Like, okay, Corby, calm the fuck down. We can walk outside and, like, call somebody and report. Like, it's okay.
Yeah. I did, I really enjoyed that they had the conversation. I think something that made this is like while I was watching it, I had that same sort of complaint about those moments, and it just felt like I think it would have worked better if they'd like expressed to us that they were deeper in the cave, because they didn't do that, and it just sort of felt like it felt like they just arrived. Like, it felt like they were in the first chamber, and then they were like, can we go outside? Should we go all the way back outside? I don't know. It's like, why not? Like, it's right there. That's the door. Like, it just felt like, it didn't feel like a huge cost to be like, especially since he's like, this is dangerous when you go back and report in. It's like, okay, yeah, there's the door right there. Go report in. Like, let them know we're in trouble. And get advice from the captain on what he wants us to do. Like, it felt a little weird.
Yeah, but I also felt like it was a situation where they were like they wrote themselves into a hole a little bit, because if they didn't do it that way, and someone tried to go out and report, they were going to be vaporized.
Yeah, no, of course,
to make the rest of the story work. It
ends up being the right decision, but they don't have any clue of that at that point. You know, I liked that they had the conversation in general, though, because it went along with that thing I was talking about earlier about Mbinga having the responsibility, feeling that weight of the responsibility for Gamble, and like in that moment Spock has to make this call, and you can tell he's compromised by his own emotions for Chapel and for against Corby, like all that stuff's going on in his head, and then he's having to make this decision. And I think it worked for me that they even had the conversation, because so often I feel like they don't really have those conversations on New Trek, and that's kind of, to me, what Trek's all about in a way.
Yeah. Stu says, okay, I'll take Gamble losing both of his eyes. No, I didn't wish him harm like that. Why is it always the black guys who get blinded in this franchise? Well, Spock was blinded in the original series, let's not forget. But, you know, it's okay. The conspiracy theorists in the Star Trek universe will also claim that Gamble, and Geordi, for that matter, are both faking the blindness. Have you heard about that with
Stevie Wonder?
Yeah, Stevie Wonder.
Yeah,
he had to like get up. He had to get up in front of a bunch of people and say, "I am blind."
People like claim he's not blind. Yeah,
yeah. Like we caught him at the airport and he was looking at a phone. I'm gonna put that creepy conspiracy music over.
It's a great, like, it is such a good conspiracy theory, because it's like, or I guess like theory, because he's so good, and it's easy to be like, well, yeah, that's why, like, because he can see. But like, yeah, being blind and doing good music though is like like the Blind Boys of Alabama and stuff like that. Like there's a history to being a blind person with great musical ability, and it's sort of the enhanced senses thing, you know, where like you don't see, so what you hear is much more intense, and you can like I don't know, at least that's the way I've always imagined it.
Yeah,
it being the case of why that's true.
Also, I have no idea how blind Stevie Wonder is. Like, he might, I mean, you know, you can be able to see a pretty good amount and still be considered legally blind. So I don't know if is he just seeing like blobs of colors, possibly. Like, I don't know. I've never seen that definition, but
no idea.
Oh my God, that's a really big that's a big lie to keep up for all these years.
It really is.
Hey, whatever. We're on a flat Earth. What else does Stu got to say here? Oh, and someone did die, and what a surprise. It's the most makeup-intensive character every time.
It's so true.
It is. I just noticed, why does La'an refer to herself by her first name on comms? That is weird.
Because Noonien Singh is hard to say.
Yeah, I guess. It's a lot, you know.
Yeah, it is. Yeah, it's a lot.
Like, I find that every time I mention my last name, everyone sort of shudders.
Yeah,
it's
actually,
like,
that's a good point.
Yeah,
like, that's actually a totally valid reason why she would do that.
this is Lieutenant Leon Hitler. Oh,
yeah, exactly. No, that makes sense. Actually, I kind of like that as a character choice for that character.
Yeah. Stu says, while I think Gorn Instinct mode is a bit much for Battelle, I was thinking that Melanie Scrofano was being a little wasted this season, appearing only for checkups and relationship talks with Pike. Nah, I like the Gorn Instinct mode, man. I'm sorry, Stu. I liked it a lot.
I do too, and like it is pretty amazing that she's been in this season only being checked up on, and like he's talking about like she's there just for relationship talks and checkups and doctor checkups, and now she's like having an ancient battle with a non-corporeal species. Like all of a sudden, I'm like, whoa, what a big advancement for her character this season.
Yeah, first of all, like this season is the most interesting she's ever been. Because she's been very vulnerable, but also strong and making her own decisions and saying, fuck you, Chris. You're not going to even be a part of the fucking decision making because you can't handle shit because you're a little bitch. And then,
not in so many words, but yeah.
Not in so many words. You know what? She actually did kind of, though. Because she was like, I don't have space to talk about how me dying is going to hurt your feelings, you fuck. Like,
yeah. Oh.
That was fantastic. That was like my favorite moment of the season.
It is a great conversation. I'm sorry, I don't think we talked about it on that episode when we talked.
I think we did.
Did we? Because I don't remember. Did. Yeah. So that was a really intense and good conversation. On an otherwise episode I didn't really enjoy, but I really liked that conversation.
But much like, slowly bringing up Ensign Gamble to killing him off, being a shock or supposedly or trying to be a shock. I liked the stark contrast of Battelle being sick and dying and sick and dying and sick and dying and then all of a sudden she's a fucking power Wraith Slayer.
Yeah, me too.
That was fucking dope, dude.
That was
cool.
It really was.
Stu says, I know that the place was cloaked and all, but shouldn't a prison's front door also need a better lock than someone from any species apparently giving a drop of their blood? Maybe.
Yeah, I think the idea was if you're going in there, you are someone from the outside. Like it's a prison. It's supposed to be made so that no one can go in.
Mm-hmm.
Someone from the outside can get in, and then they're the only ones that can leave. Is I think the idea. You have to be with the person who entered, which. I don't know. It doesn't really. It's not a great prison because anyone can go in, but like, and help them out, help them get out.
That's part of what I wanted to know about it, though. Too is like because Corby found that one piece that they had to have. You have to be smart enough to get out, or you'll just die in there.
Right.
How the fuck those dudes get in there in the first place? The corpses. How did they figure out a way in? I want to know what was beyond that little platform and, where they couldn't get out from. Because you just keep seeing all these other, like, rooms and shit in the background moving around. Look like fucking Geiger drew that shit.
Yeah, it could be other instances of that same room. Like, we know that they, like, create multiple dimensions for that room to exist in. And that's one of the ways they're able to separate them so they can't get out. Like, what if... that entire prison is only that room. Dude, and it's so just cool. Everything you see is just a kaleidoscoped version of that room.
Yeah. That's cool. I don't know. The whole thing was cool. Like, I like stuff that I can't, like, completely conceptualize.
Yeah, and me too. And they, because they go in, and then they are in that room, and then they leave that room to go through that one door, and they all end up in different versions of that same room. And then, it's just that's it. And that's the thing that made that beginning not work for me, because they were right next to the door, as far as we know. But whatever.
But yeah, but that's I don't know. I like stuff like this in Star Trek, where it's just like science so advanced that even they feel like it's magic. I love that.
Mm-hmm.
And I love it, like, that they just barely got out. They just barely figured it out enough to get out. As opposed to being like, well, we wrote a song and spoke to them and they moved, like...
Yeah.
Discovery pissed me off that kind of stuff all the time. Where it's like, this is so advanced. No one has ever seen anything like this. But wait, I think this is a note. Oh, come on.
Oh, yeah, that last season. But at least that was made by like other people other corporeal beings.
Yeah.
That like 20 years ago, or like whatever, 2,000 years ago, or whatever it was.
Man, I just spilled Fresca all down my down my shirt. See, I can't imagine people would be able to figure out some like vast ancient language. I can't even drink something right.
Man, they never did connect that to Spock, did they?
I don't know. Connect what?
That conspiracy to hide the progenitors or whatever.
Dude, I don't even remember what you're talking about.
We had speculated because the conspiracy for that to happened during like the TNG era, I believe. Because they talk about some characters that did the conspiracy to put and it was sometime in like that era of Star Trek. And they're solving the puzzles to get to the progenitor's place, the technology,
in the TNG episode. Are you talking about the TNG episode?
No, I'm talking about the Discovery episode.
Okay.
So the Discovery season, they're solving these puzzles, and one of the things me and you came up with that they didn't do, and I really like it, is the idea that they get to the end, and one of the reasons Michael Burnham made it here, like part of her fate, was that she needs to solve one of the last puzzles, and it was made by her brother. You know what I mean? But he was never connected to the conspiracy, but me and you thought of that in our conversations, and I was like, oh, that would be such a good, because it would bring the whole series to a close with her having done all this and being connected to Spock and giving her a reason to be connected to Spock, and then it could give her like she could end with like a puzzle, and she's like, oh, I used to solve these with Spock. And then recognize the handwriting, something like that could have been really
been so good. Yeah.
Could have been so nice, but that was not a thing. That was just something we talked about in the podcast, and it was so good. I'm remembering it as if it was still part of it.
Oh, that's great. Yeah, that's part of the problem with like headcanon and fan culture, because we do that shit.
And even books, that end up being not canon in the end. Like sometimes it's so good, like the whatever canon is written is so good and you love it, and then it doesn't actually end up being part of it.
Mm-hmm. Stu said it's a leap of faith. Indiana Jones hates those. He says, okay, so did we just watch a prequel to TNG's conspiracy storyline? God, I did think about those little creatures from Conspiracy.
They do remind me a lot of the Gorn, actually, now that you think about it, too. So
yeah, a little bit.
If you're connecting these different ooh. What if like they ascend, right? They have some technology that ascends them out of their bodies and they become a higher being or whatever. Mm-hmm. And like the Gorn is what's left in their bodies. Like those are their corporeal bodies, like whatever like is left of their instinct, and they're like, and that's what they evolved from. But like now they're these like, brainless, mindless creatures that are running around the galaxy, like just consuming.
They could be a byproduct of you remember in Skin of Evil, how Armus, the black tar creature, was created, if I remember correctly. He was created because the people who lived there shed all of their negative shit.
Right.
And
they
all of that
Armus.
Evil, they like figured out a way to like hone it into one person or one creature and created this like sentient evil. Mm-hmm. If like the Gorn figure out in the future at some point, figure out a way to do that, and it becomes that.
Right.
Or those.
Oh, interesting, man. That's so much fun.
And then those become the Pa Wraith.
Yeah. Well, it also made me thinking of that idea of them like getting out of their corporeal bodies, like leaving behind their corporeal, their carnal hungers, It made me think about the Vulcans, right? Like part of the reasons the Vulcans had to develop the Kolinar and all that is because their emotions and their passions ran so deep, right? Like, were so harsh and hard, they had to get control of them. What if, like, the Gorn were like this, they had all these hunger, they had the desire to go to hibernate and then just wake up and just destroy the galaxy every 100 years or whatever, and then they had to ascend above that, but then they left behind their hunger in their bodies,
Yeah.
this is all silly, but I'm just enjoying. Yeah. Like it's like their souls left, and that all that was left was these Gorn husks.
Yeah. If they're like the Kelpians. If they don't, they've been taught you got to hibernate. You got to hibernate, man.
Oh,
but
right.
Then, when they don't hibernate, they fucking ascend.
Yeah. But we're just bouncing around ideas. I really enjoyed this episode because it's so fun to do that with, you know?
Yeah, it's like, well, I mean, all the shit in the background was moving around like a Doctor Strange, so maybe, that's like when they go into their, when the Gorn go into their non-corporeal Eye of Agamotto floating around form, you know, whatever.
Well, and just, if we're gonna connect it to every episode and every thing, let me also just say, calling out the other Doctor that we so love, and just say, yeah, that thing was bigger on the inside. You know what I'm saying? Like this.
Absolutely.
Some Time Lord technology happening here.
Astral projection form. That's what I was looking for. That's what they are. The Gorn's astral projections.
Yeah. Oh man. Hey, sorry. That's a stupid theory. I don't think it's supported at all. But I enjoy it a lot. I just enjoyed doing all these things, man.
But this is truly like when we were young and talking about
exactly
stupid Star Trek.
That's what I was going to say. This feels like those conversations you have when you're young watching Star Trek, and these like things come up, and you draw all these different connections, and it could be, it couldn't be, and it all exists in this quantum state, to reference the episode of like, this could exist, this could not exist, and until they do something else with the canon, we don't know, and it may be something we're not thinking of at all, you know?
I'm fired up, man. I'm about to leave the house myself. Like, meet me in Snowden. Let's go hang out on a hill somewhere.
That's where we grew up. Went to church and would sneak out of church and go talk about Star Trek for hours.
Yeah. All right. So back to what Stu said. To remind you, he says, did we just watch a prequel to TNG's conspiracy storyline? Part of me is like, nah. I think, or nah, I should say, because I think what he really means is pa. Because the Vesda life form and the conspiracy aliens have some differences, like the conspiracy aliens didn't exhibit a form of omniscience, but that doesn't mean they didn't have it necessarily, or that it can't be explained as a result of their imprisonment in non-corporeal form. Also, being trapped in a transport buffer seems like a viable way to jump to another host at some point. They're also pretty similar in being sinister assholes when controlling hosts. And the look we got, the Vesna ones, could be viewed as a variation of the Queen from the climax of that TNG story. I mean, it looks like a creature.
I think I see what is going on here. I have a very different interpretation, I think, than what Stu has here, and you may have the same interpretation. When you saw the creature inside the thing, did you think that was the Vesna?
When I saw the creature inside of the thing, I thought it was whatever non-corporeal creature, the Vesna Pa. I thought it was they used those little lanterns to trap this non-corporeal parasitic, because they did say parasite, being, but I do think it is a non-corporeal being. But
when Spock looks into it, there's like there's a little alien pops up. What did you think that was?
Like a mouth and something, but it looked kind of like what Spock saw when he was mind melding with.
That's what I think. So I think me and Stu have different. Me and Stu have different opinions of this. I think this whole thing that this whole theory Stu is spinning about the conspiracy, I think he's basing it on the fact that that's what they look like. Mm-hmm. And that's not how I read that scene. I read that as that was Spock experiencing the Gorn, which was still living in his head, freaking out about seeing the Vesna Pa.
Yeah, I considered it possibly was, initially, I considered that it might be a flashback, like a bit of trauma from that mind meld experience. Mm-hmm. But after Batel had her snap with the Vesna Pa, I was like, that might be something else, like the last lingering bits of that, like, brain of the Gorn inside of his head
That's
reacting to that.
That's what I thought. That's what I immediately thought. And that's why my mind went to, oh, the Gorn have an issue with whatever these are. And whenever it gets to the ship, Battelle is going to have a problem. And like that immediately clicked in for me. But Stu, I think, is reading this as a conspiracy prequel because he thinks that thing looked like the conspiracy aliens, which I can definitely see. But that's not how I read that scene, though. So I think I'm just seeing it differently than Stu.
I think, if you think about it, the way they've portrayed the Gorn in this series also look like giant versions of the conspiracy aliens.
Oh, for sure. So like that's why I think he's drawing that connection. Which, who knows? I guess especially if we're talking about like, what if these things got like, what if these Vesna Pas were somehow the Gorn. And then they were re-put in the Gorn bodies somehow, and then we end up with conspiracy. Sure, maybe.
Yeah, but, they even said that, I guess it doesn't matter, because, we're now dealing with a situation where you've got the fucking ancient Q creating technology that could spread shit all over the galaxy, all over the, multiple galaxies. And so I guess it doesn't really matter where those conspiracy aliens came from or where they were sending that signal to or whatever. It could be anywhere and it could still work. I personally believe where they're going with it is that the Gorn were genetically engineered. They were created to fight these creatures. And I think that they don't have I feel like whatever they've done with their brains, however they've engineered them, these non-corporeal creatures, these Vesna Pa, cannot infiltrate the Gorn.
Maybe so.
I think that, and I think you will find that, and I think they'll say it outright in some way, that these creatures who wind up eventually becoming the Q created the Gorn specifically to fight these creatures and to contain them here in this prison.
Yeah, I don't know about the containment part because that just doesn't seem like the Gorn's MO. But I do really like the theory of the Gorn being a biological weapon.
Well, we're talking about an ancient species. You go back far enough, that was their purpose, and now they've gotten all of these out of the universe. What do? Well, you just become the Gorn eventually.
Yeah, well, I just imagine, like, let's say the Q are ascending, and they're like, this thing we're creating, like, it's going to kill sentient life for, millennia. It's going to, like, be around killing sentient life, and then them, like, engineering a sleep cycle. You know what I mean? Like, well,
yeah,
we got it needs to be around because it needs to be able to take on the Vesna Pa when needed, and it also needs to feed to survive, but, like, maybe we can let sentient life thrive by giving it like a hibernation cycle.
Yeah. And I would love to see, John Delancey show up in some gaseous form again, or, blinking light form and be like, oh, we've forgotten about those, millennia ago.
Yeah. Yeah.
Anyway,
okay, finishing Stu's email.
I generally like the seriousness of the episode and the creepy horror take. I can't not see some similarities to Prometheus with the cosmic horror aspect and exploring an old tomb. R.I.P. Gamble didn't need the Uhura Ortega's element to things, and I really want to be done with the Spock Chapel drama, as it now seems to be resulting in Corby acting insecure and being less likable from his initial appearance. Take care. You know what? I'm good with Corby being unlikable. He was unlikable as hell in the original series. But yeah, okay. So I was fine with Uhura and Ortega's, except for the scene where he's like freaking out and she's like, just breathe. And part of me liked that because it was a nice little mirror to her, like her first away mission back in season 1 when she was like all panicky and shit. And it's nice to see that character development of where how far she's come. But also, like, as a person who frequently experiences like panic attacks and anxiety, like, I'm like, yeah, he took one breath and he was like, thank you. I'm like, yeah, that ain't how that works. That ain't how that works. I don't care. You ain't gonna just take one breath and be like, oh, I'm good. The fuck? Like, no, she gonna have to talk to him for like an hour and a half as he's like sitting on on like the ground, clutching his chest and shit. Like he needs to start rocking and stemming right now. It didn't have to be like that, but I didn't really believe it. I'm like, dude, you are trapped in an interdimensional fucking prison where they're like starved pieces of shit corpses laying next to you, and some dude just got his eyes blown out, and you don't have any access to the rest of your landing party. Yeah, I would be absolutely batshit crazy.
Yeah, for sure. Be freaking out.
Ain't no slow, deep breath gonna fix that shit.
It's a valid point. It's a valid point.
That's all we got. That's all I've got as far as feedback is concerned.
Well, I guess let's end it there, because I will go on and on and on about this episode.
I did really love this episode.
Yeah,
though.
I love it. I love it so much. I'm really glad. It's just, I was so worried after last week. I was so disappointed with last week's episode that I was kind of in this place of like, do I even care about this show anymore? Like, am I just like past the point where this show can get me, you know? Like, have I lost my willingness to go along with whatever the show is trying to do, you know?
Yeah.
And then this episode comes along, and obviously that's not it. You know,
I am not. You know, every once in a while when I'm real down, I'll get to that place where I'm just like, I don't even like the fucking show anymore. Do we even need to talk about this? But at the same time, like, I have watched some bad Star Trek. Sure. You and I, you know, have watched some bad... Dude, I've sat down and I've watched all of season 3 of TOS multiple times. Sometimes it's just like, am I sure I like this show? Also, season 3 of the original series is not nearly as bad as everyone makes it out to be.
Oh, well, good.
But yeah, there's... I grew up with this shit. I'm gonna watch every episode, and you know that goes out to anyone still listening who's mad at us for any reason.
Yeah, that's the thing. It's like we do this podcast because we love the stuff, but like I don't like podcasting about stuff I just hate. And I was getting in a weird dark place with Star Trek. I was like, do I just not like new Star Trek right now? Like we're always just very critical, and I'm not enjoying it. But then an episode like this comes along and just completely revitalizes me.
Yeah, and every once in a while we'll get like a comment somewhere and be like, why are y'all even talking about this? Like, just don't watch it. And I'm like, that is not an option for me. I'm going to watch Star Trek. Yeah. If they make Star Trek, I will watch it.
Yeah. And I do think that like there's some really instructive things about the show that you can learn by like why this one was different and why this one worked so well. And I'm hoping that they'll see that and take those lessons. All right, man. Well, Joel on True.
Live long and prosper. And don't pick up any weird fucking glowing orbs, you asshole.
Oh, boy.
All right, you got me on the second oh, boy.
Thank you for listening to the Star Trek Universe Podcast, a Stranded Panda production. If you'd like to hear more from David C. Robertson, check out the DC On Screen podcast or maladjusted.tv for his web videos. If you'd like to hear more from Matthew Carroll, check out the Marvel Cinematic Universe podcast or listen to his music. Just search for Matthew Carroll anywhere you get music.